The gardens of Jannah that we experience in this life are twofold. Those where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is remembered, and those where another person is remembered purely for the sake of Allah. What does this mean? The Prophet ﷺ said that circles of knowledge in this world are gardens of paradise. Why is that so? Because in such gatherings Allah praises you, the angels praise you, and your rank is elevated. In like manner, the Prophet ﷺ taught that when a believer visits the sick, 70,000 angels accompany him, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards the visitor with a garden abundant with fruit in Jannah. Thus people bring flowers to console a sick person and to show they are remembered in prayer. Allah, who is never outdone in generosity, grants those visitors gardens of beauty beyond anything perceivable here. Therefore, when you remember Allah or you remember someone for Allah's sake, you increase the gardens that belong to you in the hereafter. Imagine that you possess not only a palace in Jannah, but many surrounding structures of beauty. When you step outside your dwelling, what do you behold? You find the Khiyam tents or pavilions meant primarily as guest houses. Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy on him, explained that these pavilions differ from ghuraf, apartments, and palaces. They stand amid gardens, on beaches, and along riverbanks, serving as places for guests and for enjoyment. Imam Ibn Abi ad-Dunya clarifies that all heavenly creatures reside in these guest homes, while the palaces are reserved for the believers alone. Thus, these guest pavilions are built for the believing community with Allah's permission. The Quran mentions indicating that the Aris dwell within these guest houses. When we read of servants in Al-Jannah, they wait at the gates and doors of the palaces. Whatever you desire comes to you without effort. Angels are continually checking on the dwellers of their palaces, yet a believer enjoys privacy within his own abode. The Khiyam are also where friends meet and receive one another majalis of delight. Whether you visit a companion's khaym or someone comes to your pavilion, receptions occur in these tents. Even so, privacy remains emphasized. The Prophet ﷺ described a believer's tent in paradise, carved from a single pearl, 60 miles in length, through which he may visit families and guests while remaining unseen by others. Ibn Fasud reported that this pearl tent will be 1 fasakh high and 50 fasakh wide. A fasakh is approximately 5 miles, so consider the enormity of these dimensions. It will have 1,000 doors of gold, and through each door an angel will enter bearing a gift from Allah. These are the guest houses. Inside them are daybeds upon which one reclines. The believer rests on green cushions and fine carpets. The Quran also speaks of raised couches, cups set on plates, cushions arranged, and carpets spread. Thus one finds gold doors, green draperies, cushions in rows, and luxurious rugs beneath vaulted spaces, guest pavilions set within gardens, yet we have barely begun to describe the gardens themselves. Now think of the earthly places we call exotic. They usually feature 3 things: sand, grass, and water. The theme of Jannah, however, is gardens, Jannat, that dazzle the eye and ensure complete comfort. There one has endless time. A person could admire a single flower for 100 years without concern for passing time. Consider the very ground of Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ said that its gravel is pearl and ruby, and its soil is saffron. In another narration, he describes the soil as saffron, while its scent is musk. Ibn al-Qayyim reconciles these descriptions by noting that the color may be saffron while the fragrance is musk, a combination of the most beautiful color and most pleasant scent. Other narrations describe the ground as pure white musk. In the famous Hadith of Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ advising on remembrance, he said the plains of paradise are white musk with fine grains. Picture sandy white beaches that also perfume the air. When the angel Jibreel struck the ground in paradise during the Isra' and Miraj, fragrance spread forth, so every step in paradise summons a delightful scent. The texture and scent of the soil, its look, and the way it feels underfoot all belong to paradise. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned hills and dunes of camphor where people assemble, and Allah sends breezes of mercy upon them while they gather streams of musk that continuously diffuse. The companions when they heard such accounts, saw worldly gardens as nothing compared with the gardens of Jannah. When Allah taught, "You will not attain righteousness until you spend of what you love," the Sahaba understood the reality of trade with Allah. Abu Talha, may Allah be pleased with him, owned a cherished garden in Medina near the masjid. It was his most beloved possession. He gave it away seeking the garden of Allah, sacrificing his dearest worldly wealth for the eternal reward. Abu Dahdah likewise heard, "Who will make a beautiful loan to Allah so that He multiplies his reward?" He hurried to give his garden of 600 date palms. And when informing his wife, who happened to be gathering dates with their son, she knocked dates into their child's hand, exclaiming, "This is a profitable sale." This exchange, the Prophet ﷺ remarked, secured for them countless date palms in paradise. Their actions demonstrate how worldly gardens can be traded for eternal gardens. So reflect, how many gardens of Jannah do you plant through circles of knowledge? How many do you plant by visiting the forgotten and the sick? How many gardens have you purchased by spending what you love in charity? Return to your Lord, content and well-pleasing. Enter among my servants and enter my garden. This is the promise in the exhortation, that each act of remembrance, each deed done for Allah's sake, each kindness given to a fellow believer, enlarges one's gardens in the hereafter. Remember that Jannah's bounty is not limited to private dwellings. The palaces are surrounded by generous accommodations for guests and company. The Khiyam become places of conviviality, of majalis, of reception. The believer's privacy is preserved, even within the vastness. The pearl tent, with innumerable doors, exemplifies how enormous beauty and intimate privacy coexist. Angels move through every portal, bearing gifts. Servants attend at thresholds and needs arrive without labor. The furnishings are of the finest weave. The carpets and cushions are arranged for ease and repose. Fruit hangs within reach so that one may pluck and taste at will. Rivers and springs flow nearby. Beaches of fragrant sand and dunes of camphor spread out where people gather and inhale breezes of mercy. Consider again the imagery of scent and color. Saffron-hued soil and musk-scented earth. Pearls and rubies as gravel. Plains that are white musk with grains as fine as pearls. These are not mere metaphors but convey the combination of visual splendor and olfactory delight, an environment designed to satisfy every sense. The Prophet ﷺ's descriptions emphasize that Paradise's terrain itself participates in the worshipful joy of its inhabitants. When gatherings occur, mercy descends. When a guest visits, angels sing Allah's praises and raise the guest's rank. The examples of the Sahaba show a practical application. When offered a choice between keeping a beloved garden in this life or giving it away to seek gardens in the hereafter, they chose the latter. Their generosity was not loss but multiplication. Abu Talha and Abu Dahdah did not hoard what they loved, they offered it to Allah and thereby secured a greater harvest. Their wives and families rejoiced, recognizing the trade as profitable. This teaches us that the pursuit of Jannah reshapes our attachments, shifting love from transient possessions to eternal realities. So ask yourself, how many gardens are you accumulating? Are you present in circles of knowledge that act as gardens of paradise? Do you visit the sick and the lonely, thereby gaining gardens that Allah bestows? Do you spend of what you cherish to buy for yourself the gardens that never fade? Each act of remembrance of Allah and each remembrance of someone for Allah's sake plants a seed that will grow into verdant reward. The landscapes of Jannah are promised not only as palaces but as networks of gardens, pavilions, and meeting places where privacy, hospitality, and perpetual comfort are assured. The invitation remains: return to your Lord, content and pleasing, and enter among His servants and gardens.